Hi, today I'm here to talk about the part E, which is professional curriculum and pedagogical philosophy statement. So, in this presentation, I would like to introduce my professional curriculum and pedagogical philosophy in early childhood education. So, my philosophy is based upon the belief that every child is competent, capable, and an active participant in his or her learning. I understand early childhood education as a formative stage at which identity, well-being, communication, and thinking are developed based on the relationships, experiences, and environments. Thus, it is the duty of the teachers or the educators to provide inclusive, responsive, and intentional learning environment that help the child to grow holistically. So this philosophy aligns with the EYLF version 2 principles, including secure relationships and reciprocal relationships, equity and inclusion, and high expectations for every child. First of all, I interpret the concept of curriculum in early childhood education as going beyond a structural program or planned outcomes. The early learning framework describes curriculum as all the interactions, experiences, routines, and events that take place in early learning settings to facilitate children's learning and development. So, in my professional understanding, curriculum is dynamic, relational, and co constructed. It is influenced by the voices of the children, cultural identities, family context, and experiences. This implies that curriculum is not predetermined but develops through the observation, reflection, and responsiveness. And children are not passive learners or consumers of curriculum. Rather than they are active, they actively contribute to and shape it through their interactions and their interests. So this reflects EYLF outcomes 1.1 to 1.4, where children develop a strong sense of identity, autonomy, respect, and confidence. So pedagogy refers to the deliberate, thoughtful, and social practices educators use to support children's learning, and sociocultural theory strongly influences my pedagogical practice as it highlights how social interaction, dialogues, and shared decision making support learning. So, in this context, children learn effectively through the meaningful relationship with educators, peers, and their environment. I also apply the constructivist theory, which emphasizes that children actively construct knowledge through exploration, inquiry, and problem solving. So this connects with EYLF outcome 4.1 to 4.4, where children develop curiosity, confidence, persistence, and resourcefulness. So play-based learning is also key aspect of my philosophy. I believe play and learning are inseparable, and play provides the most meaningful context for learning in early childhood education. So through play, child develop cognitive skills such as problem solving, social skills such as cooperation and negotiations, and emotional regulation. They also develop creativity, language, and physical coordination. So research shows that play-based learning supports holistic development, engagement, and motivation. So this aligns with the EYLF outcomes 4 and 5, particularly in communication, interactions, and decision making. However, I believe that high quality pedagogy requires a balance between the child-led learning and intentional teaching. So these are not opposing approaches but complementary. So child-led play supports agency, dependence, and creativity, while intentional teaching extends deepen learning. For example, during the block play, instead of directing child, I scaffold their thinking by asking open-ended questions such as, what do you notice in the balance, or what would make it more stronger? Because this supports in learning while maintaining children's ownership of their ideas. It also reflects with the UILF principle of intentional teaching and also connect to AITSL standard 3.3, which focuses on using effective teaching strategies, support and extend children learning, and standard 3.5, which focuses on effective communication and questioning to deepen thinking. So another one is emergent curriculum is another important element of my philosophy. I believe meaningful learning emerges from children's interests, their questions and their lived experiences. For example, if the children develop an interest in insect during outdoor play, I will extend this across learning areas such as science, literacy, numeracy, and creative arts. So this ensures learning is meaningful, engaging, and relevant. At the same time, I use the professional judgment to ensure learning remains intentional and developmentally appropriate. This aligns with UILF outcome 2, where children connect with and contribute to their world. My philosophy is also strongly based on inclusion, because I believe all the children have right to participate in learning without discrimination based on the child's ability, their language, their culture and their background. So inclusive practice is not an addiction but an essential part of curriculum design. So it involves creating flexible learning environments that supports every learner. This may include the visual supports, multilingual sources, sensual materials, or adaptive expectation. And it also involves strong collaboration with the families and professional to ensure continuity and cultural responsiveness. So in my pedagogical practices, I use strategies such as scaffolding and sustained shared thinking. Scaffolding supports children with their zone of proximal development by gradually reducing the assistance as they gain confidence. Sustained shared thinking involves meaningful conversations where the ideas are explored and developed together. So these strategies turn everyday interaction into rich learning opportunities, which aligns with the UILF outcomes 4 and 5 and AITSL standard 1.2, which focuses on understanding how children learn and develop, and standard 3.2, which involves planning and structuring learning experiences, standard 3.4, which focuses on appropriate resources to support learning. Overall, my philosophy aligns with the 5 learning outcomes. It supports children's identity, its well-being and connection to their world, and confidence in learning and communication skills. So it also reflects UILF principles such as secure relationships, partnership with families, respect for diversity, and reflective practice. My philosophy also aligns with the Australian professional standard for teachers at the graduate level. So in professional knowledge, I demonstrate the understanding of child development theories and curriculum frameworks. In professional practice, I create engaging and responsive learning environment using intentional teaching strategies. And in professional engagement, I engage in reflection, collaboration, and ongoing professional learning. So this includes AITSL standard 6.1 to 6.3, which focuses on identifying professional learning needs, engaging in the ongoing professional development, and collaborating with the colleagues to improve teaching practice. So in reflecting on my role, I see myself as a co-learner, facilitator, and researcher of children thinking. And I continuously observe, reflect, and adopt my practice. So balancing planned curriculum with child's spontaneous interest can be challenging, but I believe that the balance is essential and requires strong professional judgment. So in conclusion, my philosophy is based on respect for children as a capable learners, and a commitment to inclusion and equity, and a belief in play-based and emergent learning. So through intentional teaching, reflective practice, and strong relationships, I aim to support children to become confident, curious, and active learners. Thank you.